Hare Krishna, Kanha Priyadas.
Yeah, you're muted, Prabhu. Kanapriya Prabhu, you're muted.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Adhirayet Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Yadyantastahi Bhadrani Vidhanoti Suhitsatam Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, verse 21 and 22. Verse 21 is 21, Prabhu. Sa Adirajo Rachitan Yalir Harim Vilokitum Nasakad Ashrulochana Nakinchal Novachasa Bashpa Viklavo Idopaguyam Umadhad Vastitaha. Synonyms: Sa, he, Adi Raja, the original king. Rachita Anjali, with folded hands. Harim, supreme personality of Godhead. Vilokitum, to look upon. Na, not. Asakat, was able. Ashrulochana, his eyes full of tears. Na, not. Kinchana, anything. Vach, spoke. Sa, he. Bashpa Viklava, his voice being choked up. Hridha, with his heart. Upaguhya, embracing. Amum, the Lord. Adhat, he remained. Avastita, standing. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The original King Maharaj Prithu, his eyes full of tears and his voice faltering and choked up, could neither see the Lord very distinctly nor speak to address the Lord in any way. He simply embraced the Lord within his heart and remained standing in that way with folded hands. Purport. Just as Krishna is addressed in the Brahma Samhita as Adi Purusha, the original personality, so King Prithu, being an empowered incarnation of the Lord, is referred to in this verse as Adi Raj, the original or ideal king. He was a great devotee and at the same time a great hero who conquered over all undesirable elements in his kingdom. He was so powerful that he was equal in fighting to Indra, the king of heaven. He gave protection to his citizens, keeping them engaged in pious activities and devotion to the Lord, and did not collect a single cent of taxes from the citizens without being able to give them protection from all calamities. The greatest calamity in life is to become godless and therefore sinful. If the state head or king allows the citizens to become sinful by indulging in illicit sex life, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling, then the king is responsible and he has to suffer the resultant sequence of reactions for the sinful lives of the citizens because he levies taxes on them unnecessarily. These are the principles for a ruling power, and because Maharaj Prithu observed all the principles for a ruling chief, he is referred to here as Adi Raja. Even a responsible king like Maharaj Prithu can become a pure devotee of the first order. We can distinctly see from King Prithu's behavior how he became ecstatic both externally and internally in pure devotional service. Just today, we have seen in the newspapers of Bombay that the government is going to repeal its prohibition laws. Ever since Gandhi's non cooperation movement, Bombay has been kept dry and has not allowed its citizens to drink. But unfortunately, the citizens are so clever that they have increased illicit distillation of liquor. And although not being sold publicly in shops, liquor is being sold in public laboratories and similar abnormal places. Unable to check such illicit smuggling, the government has decided to manufacture the liquor at cheaper prices so that people can have their supply of intoxication directly from the government instead of purchasing it in public laboratories. The government failed to change the hearts of the citizens from indulging in sinful life. So instead of losing the taxes they collect to inflate the treasury, they have decided to manufacture liquor to supply to the citizens who hanker after it. This kind of government cannot check the resultant actions of sinful life, namely war, pestilence, famine, earthquakes, and similar other disturbances. Nature's law is that as soon as there are discrepancies in regard to the law of God, which are described in Bhagavad Gita as dharmasya glani, or disobedience to the laws of nature or God, at once there will be heavy punishment in the form of sudden outbreaks of war. We have recently experienced a war between India and Pakistan. Within 14 days, there have been immense losses of men and money, and there have been disturbances to the entire world. These are the reactions of sinful life. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to make people pure and perfect. If we become even partially pure, as described in the Bhagavatam, Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu, by development of Krishna consciousness, then lust and greed, the material diseases of the citizens, will be reduced. This can be made possible simply by broadcasting the pure message of Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna consciousness. Big commercial and industrial firms have contributed many thousands of rupees to a defense fund that burns the money in the form of gunpowder. But unfortunately, if they are asked to contribute liberally to advance the Krishna consciousness movement, they are reluctant. Under the circumstances, the world will periodically suffer from such upsurges and outbreaks of war, which are the consequences of not being Krishna conscious. Text 22. Athava mrij yasru kala vilokayan atriptadrig gocharam ahapurusham padasprishantam shitim amsha unnate vinyasta hastagram uranga vidavish shaha. Synonyms. Atha, thereupon. Avamrijya, wiping. Ashrukala, the tears in his eyes. Ilokayan, observing. Atripta, not satisfied. Drik gocharam, visible to his naked eyes. Ah, he said, Purusham, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ada, with his lotus feet, Sprinshantam, just touching, Shitim, the ground, Amse, on the shoulder, Unnate, raised, Vinyasta, rested, Hasta, off his hand, Agram, the front part, Uranga, with Visha, of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead stood with his lotus feet almost touching the ground while he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, the enemy of the snakes. Maharaj Prithu, wiping the tears from his eyes, tried to look upon the Lord, but it appeared that the king was not fully satisfied by looking at him. Thus, the king offered the following prayers. Purport by His Divinity Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The significant point in this verse is that the Lord was standing above the ground, almost touching it. The residents of the upper planetary systems, beginning from Brahmalok, the planet where Lord Brahma lives, down to Swargalok, the heavenly planet of Indra, are so advanced in spiritual life that when they come to visit this or other similar lower planetary systems, they keep their weightlessness. This means that they can stand without touching the ground. Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because he lives in one of the planetary systems within this universe, he sometimes plays as if one of the demigods of this universe. When he first appeared before Prithu Maharaj, he was not touching the ground on this earth, but when he was fully satisfied with the behavior and character of Maharaj Prithu, he immediately acted as the Supreme Personality Godhead, Narayan from Vaikuntha. Out of affection for Prithu Maharaj, he touched the earth, but he rested the front of his hand on the raised shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, as if to prevent himself from falling down, since the Lord is not accustomed to stand on earthly ground. These are all symptoms of his great affection for Prithu Maharaj. Perceiving his fortunate position, Prithu Maharaj could not fully look upon the Lord due to ecstasy, but still in a faltering voice, he began to offer prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadambayam Adati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva. So here in these two verses, we understand that Maharaj Prithu, who was the ruler of the world at that time, was also challenging at the same time the ruler of the Swargaloka. That was Indradev. So in order for Maharaj Prithu not to conquer the Swargalok, Indra had stolen the horse meant for sacrifice, the Ashwamedha Yaga, 100 sacrifice. So it is assumed and it is known through the Vedas that such sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yagya, if hundreds of those are performed, then one gets immense power to defeat even Indra, who is the ruler of the Swargaloka. So from the arena, the Yagya arena, Lord Vishnu appeared to pacify Prithu Maharaj because his horse meant for sacrifice was stolen by Indra. So Maharaj, so we notice that here Lord Vishnu appears in the arena and pacifies Prithu Maharaj that there is no need to conduct this yagya, and he brings about a truce between Indra and Prithu Maharaj. who in turn hug each other, although Indradev was willing to bend down and beg forgiveness from Prithu Maharaj by touching his feet. But Prithu Maharaj, instead of allowing him to touch his feet, raises him up and embraces him. So when such a thing happens, we notice that then there is no enmity. So, so Maharaj Prithu's goal was not to create enmity, but he was just about going about conducting the yajna. But since the yajna purush, that is, Lord Vishnu was already pleased and personally appeared, so there was no need to conduct the yajna. His objective was already obtained. So he was such a great personality that even Lord Vishnu gives him audience. And when you have that, it is described that he was unable to see the Lord properly because tears were gliding down his cheek and his eyes were full of tears. So his eyes were clouded and he could not see the Lord properly. So even though the Lord wanted to leave, but he stood there to give his audience to Maharaj Prithu and give some more instructions to him. So we notice that how one's condition will be. A conditioned soul, even though he was a liberated king who was empowered personality, empowered incarnation of the Lord himself, but was still Jiva Tattva, and he is being given the darshan. So how a person, if we have to receive like the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna right before our eyes, even though it is Bhakti Vilochanena, so we have to have that eyes anointed with the love. So with that love, the eyes become clouded, because you are already crying and you are able to see. But at that time, you are stunned. One is stunned that you cannot see the Lord properly, but you continue to 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 see that vision, even partially with folded hands, and with the with feeling of you know ecstasy in your heart that you are seeing something and you don't want that thing to be to be to be gone from your vision. You want to enjoy for as long as you can. You want to enjoy, what enjoy. You want to really feel that ecstasy that you have. One is witnessing. One is having the darshan of the Lord actually, and so that was the condition of Prithu Maharaj also because he was having the darshan, and and Prabhupada mentions about ideal king in the verse and our ISKCON society is also based on these founding principles of no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. So if a king is able to guide its citizens towards achieving these kind of perfections, then there will be no crime in the society. There will be no people will be all moving towards perfection, and they will be all coming together in the spirit of brotherly, in the spirit of brotherhood, and there will be all auspiciousness. So then that will be like equal to Vaikuntha even on this material earth. So, but unfortunately, it doesn't happen. So, but Prabhupada has created this society where the followers are perpetually living in a Vaikuntha. So if we are doing that, and we are doing that, following those principles and chanting the rounds and reading the literature, we are not in anxiety anymore. We are without anxiety, and then situated without anxiety and like trying for perfection. It is almost like being in Vaikuntha. So that's the goal of an ideal king or ideal leader, to engage its citizens into such activities. But unfortunately, citizens, they find it so difficult. Even such simple tasks, they find it difficult. They were manufacturing, as he gives the example in Bombay, illicit liquor and distributing it in the public laboratories. So one can imagine, what to talk about just intoxication, that's one of the things. And then they have like brothels for illicit sex. And then they have, relationships, illicit relationships. Then they have, gambling outlets like in the form of race courses and other things, particularly in India, and casinos, etc., to gamble. And then, of course, meat eating is rampant anywhere, everywhere in the world. So where is the society? Society is all degraded. Where are the good character people? Those who are following on the footsteps of Mahapurushas, like Prabhupada, or similar acharyas in their own respective sampradayas, or the Vaishnavas are the best kind of people. So that's how we understand how one should conduct and one should elevate one's life in order to develop that love of Godhead, and make one's life perfect, even in this lifetime, and go back home, back to Godhead, in the spiritual world, in the spiritual realm. And set your goals also for the spiritual realm, as Goloka, Vrindavan, or this thing. And we don't even want to worry about where we are going. But as long as we are doing the right thing, the destination will always be not far away from what for a perfect person. Thank you so much for joining in. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.